Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host, Devneet Bajaj, and joining me today is another Bajaj, Devneet. Devneet, welcome on the show.
Thank you for having me here.
Thanks for being here and making time to join us. So let's start with who is Dev?
Who is Dave? That name as well is has been morphed into what it is because of my time in the US. So I grew up as a Devneet and then became Dave, but and I think kind of represents a little bit about who I am. I have not lived. I've lived in a lot of cities in my life. It's just a function of growing up somewhere, college, work, etc., and it's tough to call one place home. I would like to say I'm a global citizen. I want my kids and my wife, I think, is a global citizen. I'd say I am an ambitious but yet practical person. If you're asking in terms of, I think Quan, which is what you're going to ask about, the name and the brand has been set up to represent what my philosophy is in life, right? People can see Quan and say, okay, yeah, this comes from the movie Jerry Maguire, which we all love. But there's meaning behind that, right? That, the guy's asking for not just the coin, but he's asking for the Quan, which basically is respect, community, the entire package, as he tells his agent. And that's what I believe in. I'm like, listen, it's important to be successful in your career. It's important to strive, but you shouldn't do it by stepping on people or over people. And that's the philosophy I want to keep. And that's hopefully what the culture will be at Quan. So I know I'm switching topics here, but yeah.
That's a perfect segue. So always curious to know, why does someone do something, especially when you have so many choices and options which you've had?
Yeah.
So tell us about what Quan is, but maybe angle that in with why do this and why do this now?
Yeah. So, like you said, I'm glad you're curious about why people do things. Sometimes I feel like life is just, some people have a straight road and some people have a very, very curvy road. I am of the latter, right? You've seen my career to go from a very straight road of finance and banking and private equity to build an agriculture business in India, to sell it to a strategic, then to go back to VC and then go into sports. I'm always following my passions.
Yes.
And that's a common theme.
I think that's a common Bajaj theme also.
Yes, it can be. It can be very dangerous also.
Yes.
Because you're going up on a straight road and you're trying to take an immediate right turn somewhere. And so, but I enjoy that because it makes life interesting. And I think Quan is now a culmination of what I've learned over the last 21 years, which is I want to be able to, Quan is, it's difficult to, it's not a common thing to do where you want to set up an advisory firm combined with an investment firm. Because most times it's one or the other.
Right.
But I feel like if you don't get on the side of the entrepreneur, and that's what Quan wants to do, is advise entrepreneurs and any stage of company in basically three areas: consumer, entertainment, which includes sports, and lifestyle, right? Because that's the spaces that I connect with, and that's my experience. And the goal for Quan is to advise startups in helping them achieve whatever their goals are. It doesn't have to be, I want to make a unicorn.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, oh, I want to build a cash flow business. It can be somewhere in the middle as well. So I feel like my experiences over time have allowed me to adjust to what the entrepreneur wants and really act like the sort of outsourced chief strategy officer, which is the role that I was playing at Dream Sports for a particular company and mandate. But it allowed me to work with 10 other companies. It allowed me to meet a lot of entrepreneurs, and I feel like I want to be able to share that with a lot of people. So Quan is an advisory firm first. Advice is underrated, unappreciated, taken for granted.
Very thankless.
Very thankless. Yeah. But I want to be able to prove that people will actually pay as they are, for advice, either in cash or equity or whatever it is. And then once people start taking advice well and feedback well and start building something, and the companies start reflecting some of that, some of that ethos, then I want Quan to be the right investment firm. Because I rather invest in, let's say Nitin, you, but I rather invest in someone like you if I'm advising you, because I know you so well, and it makes the chances of my success of my investments being more successful. Now I recognize that VCs also advise. It's not like they don't. I've been on one VC before. It's a very thankless job as well, because you have to put the promoter and the entrepreneur in front, but then it is a thankless job. But this is advice first, capital later. VC is capital first, advice follows. And that's the only thing that I'm changing here. It's like, come talk to me. Don't see me as the money guy who's going to invest or help you raise a lot of capital. I will do that anyways because of if I believe in your business, it's going to happen. So that's what Quan is attempting to do.
I love the fact that you're driving from the success criteria first,
Yeah.
meeting the entrepreneur and the team where they need you,
Yeah.
calibrating to their needs,
Yes.
to their environment,
Yeah.
and saying, given my background and experience, this is where you can go. Here are the steps we take
Yeah.
collectively. And as you get to know them
Yeah.
and they're ready for scale, you're able to then bring in the
Yeah.
capital and the strategic check.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just any
Yeah.
check.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Mm.
Give us a sense of, I know these are early days, give us a sense for the size, scale,
Yeah.
but more importantly, the impact, right? Like, one, what is the geography you're working on? And two, the companies that you're looking to work with, what's an ideal customer for you?
Yeah. Good question. I've kept it, again, I'm not going to get straight answers from me today, but I've kept it very flexible. Because I can't be focused on a certain industry and then also be specialized on a certain stage. That limits you a lot.
True.
I don't even want to say I'm an Indian VC or a US VC. I want to be global, because good companies are few and far between. So you want to be, cast a very wide net. Stage ideal customer is someone who wants to build something in sports media, entertainment, lifestyle, as I talked about, and something that I get excited by. So there is my first company is in the business of building a top golf kind of behavior for cricket.
Very cool.
Right. So for me, that's it's an amazing space to be in. Entertainment is going to eat the world, literally.
Yes.
And people are not going to go to restaurants to eat. They're going to go to entertain themselves and then eat around that. So been working very closely with this company. I can say publicly, it's called BatFast. Really like Runesh, Jigs, and Navdeep, who basically run the company. And we've been working very closely together for the last 6 months. And that journey, I would say, is very interesting because they are a B2B business. But we've been striking B2B2C partnerships around the world, because they're also like me, don't want to be just a UK centric business or US. They want to be everywhere. This behavior, cricket can go everywhere, or batting and multi sports and visual sports can be everywhere. So they were bootstrapped for a long period of time and have gotten to respectable scale now, and near profitable, actually profitable this year. But it's not one of those things that VCs look at, right? But because it's linear growth, and I'm trying to work with them to see how do we get non-linear growth, but still stick to our ethos of not burning capital, and strike partnerships globally. So I'm doing something like that. So to compare that, BatFast, which is an early stage company, I've been advising a pickleball business, just in the business of scaling pickleball around the world, also in India. I've been working with a gaming business. I don't do any real money gaming. That's the company that I came from, Dream Sports, which I helped build. And I feel like my equity is there, and I feel like that company should do well. I don't want to create competitors for it. But on the non-real money gaming, interactive gaming side, I helped build a cricket gaming studio. So I'm working with a lot of companies that are trying to get into India, trying to scale, gaming studios, trying to scale around the world. So that's, the space, because it's the space you're hearing a lot of sports gaming media from me right now, because that's the space that I've been in. But interestingly, I'm taking on a content business now, because I feel like content's gonna eat the world as well after entertainment, right? We're already so consumed with content. Producing short form, bite size, interactive, sometimes high fidelity content like you're doing, right? Is the future, right? So IP for young kids, all of that. So I'm trying to keep it flexible, and then as I meet more and more interesting entrepreneurs, and I just like interacting with them, I'll take that on. I know LPs, limited partners, may not want to hear that, but I feel like I can build this at my own pace, and once there is a success story, then maybe people will believe in it.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
I love the long-term view and perspective around that. And you answered my question that I didn't even ask, so thank you for doing that. I was going to ask you about the opportunities, and you laid them out really well. What's the one big challenge you're facing?
What we talked about earlier, unappreciated, thankless advice, right? But that's fine by me. If 1 out of 5 people take advice, that's okay. It's like I have an 8 and 4-year-old boy, boys. They're never going to listen to everything I say, right? I don't want to say startups are my kids, right? But I do want to say that it's one of those things that you have to build patience. You have to figure out what works for you, but it's a very interesting journey, right? I don't want to be a consultant who builds a lot of slides. I'm interacting with you, and I'm like, okay, what's your problem for this quarter?
Right.
What's your 18-month plan, right? Because 18 months is usually what you have funding for.
Right.
And in your 18-month plan, how are we going to get there? And first question I ask is that the right plan? Is that the right highway to be on? Because VCs are mostly invested in a plan and they're like, go fly.
Right.
I'm saying, take a step back. These are all of your options if you're an early stage entrepreneur. I'm working with a business that's building college sports in India. Think about how many directions that can go in, right? The format, how you want to scale it, etc., etc. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Now, as we look into the future and all of this exciting stuff that's happening around you and you're making happen and come to life, I want to take a step back and look in the rearview mirror. In your personal and your professional career, 2 moments. One that did not work out as you had planned and expected, and there was failure, lessons, and another one that exceeded your own expectations and became a success beyond what you had imagined.
So I'll take the success first.
Sure.
Because that's what I believe in, that failure is not an option.
Sure.
In many ways, you have to be humble in defeat, but don't accept failure. Mitra, for example, is my biggest achievement, right? To leave a fancy private equity job in a conference room in San Francisco, or working out of conference rooms around in the US, to never having spent time in agriculture in India, to move back to Nashik, set up a factory there, an R&D shop, move my wife from New York to that, and to do that for not just for a passion, to do that for 6 years, to commute and travel to villages. The odds were stacked up against me, right? Every time someone saw me, they used to be like, "Ye to wapas jaane wala hai." I don't know if I can use Hindi, but
You just did.
Yeah, so put your tail between your legs and leave, right? So I wanted to prove people wrong, and I also wanted to have an impact, because people of our kind of talent need to be working with things that are of a deep impact in our country. Otherwise, it's always going to be India's next decade. Right? Unless we solve hard problems.
Yes.
So the problem that we picked up was, how do we automate farms? How do we give them smart machinery? Because these are very progressive growers. I don't even call them farmers. They're growers who want maximum output out of each acre. So we gave them technology at almost like following a Japanese model of, creating light, beautiful, functioning machines versus bulky machines. And created distribution, which is the second biggest challenge. If you make a machine, how are you going to sell it? Encourage engineers to move back to their villages and say, please sell this machine. No dealers initially. And if you sell that machine, you get a cut of that machine that particular month. That radically changed how we distribute products in rural India. And I think that's what Mahindra appreciated when they acquired the business, and they've kept the brand. It's Mahindra. The M is now Mahindra, but they've kept Mitra as a brand, which is what's scaling in horticulture. I'd say that's my biggest success when odds were stacked up against me. I would say things that haven't really worked out, in a way. I feel like when I have worked in certain cases for people on their visions, I have been, very, very keen to execute their particular visions, right? But I am an entrepreneur at heart. And I think like an entrepreneur because when I work in a company, I like to think like an owner, which is what I think owners would also want. But sometimes you feel like maybe maybe owners want room for, just themselves. That's not a philosophy that I subscribe to, because I think the more owners you create, the better it is. So, I think I'll leave it at that, that people need to know who they are, within themselves and chase their dreams accordingly. And which is why it's okay. It's all learnings along the way.
One thing I love about entrepreneurship is it teaches you what you're made of.
Yeah.
And it forces you to dig deeper
Yeah.
and find a new version of you
Yeah.
every time you hit a roadblock. So thanks for sharing that. Now, I want to jump into my favorite part of the show, which we call the one-line life lessons. I would love for you to share a few of your life lessons with us.
You want to share one life lesson first before I share? Yeah.
We won't make this a competition.
Yeah, no, it won't be at all. It's not a tennis match.
Even though it could have been.
Yeah.
So the one I live by is do or do not. There is no try. These are Yoda's famous words, and I've taken them to heart. So I don't try something, I just do it.
Yeah.
Or I say, oh yeah, this is not for me. I'm not going to mess around with it.
Yeah.
So that's my one life lesson.
So I almost, don't laugh, I almost named my second son, who's Amir, Yoda. Because I just love some of those philosophies. Obviously, I'm so glad my wife had something to say about that, and Amir is a much better name. But
we can debate that later on.
But life lesson for me is tenacity. Like, how are you ever going to achieve anything, right? When you have a short-term philosophy of just coming in, doing something quickly. You may go in and you may get lucky. In a year, you may find an exit as you're building a startup. But you've got to think, like you said, you've got to think about a 10-year plan, not even a 5-year plan. You're planning your life that way. And you've got to be ready as an entrepreneur or anyone, even in a corporate career, to say, okay, in 10 years I want to achieve there, but there will be, journeys along the way. How do I not lose patience, right? But go back to your thinking. Sometimes you have to be also sharp in your decision making and not stick on a highway that's wrong. So think macro, big picture, do the strategic alignment. If it's not working for you, jump on a different highway. But when you think it's the right highway, be tenacious.
Love that. More wisdom to share. So please continue.
I think maybe it's a joint grey hair there. But I think the second would be have a passion outside work, right? I think everybody says that creatively. My passion. We just talked about it. I like to play competitive tennis now. I mean, I'm bringing it back, and I'm trying to prove that 40-year-olds can also play good tennis equal to 21-year-olds. If Roger Federer can, then why can't we at our age, right? I mean, it's different, but different levels, right? But within our humble levels, we can do that. So, have passions, and whatever, it's music, etc., because you need that outlet. Otherwise, that road where I'm asking you to be tenacious will get very boring. I'll say this in here, listen to your wife, because she's always usually right. Do not try to parent your kids too much, because they will be their own human beings, and you don't dictate your will on them. Otherwise, you'll be that dad that they don't like. And it's a work. For me, I'm learning that. My kids are young. Be global, and again, go back to the same life lesson, which is like think big picture. we're all going to leave this world with nothing. Please, like this world is becoming very transactional and is becoming very short term in their thinking. And why is that? That hike that you will do will have an amazing, that's priceless. You can't put a price on time and experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's also very important for people to realize.
Yeah. It's the journey.
It's the journey.
Yeah.
It's the journey. It's not the where you want to get.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you for making time to share your journey and your story, obviously your life lessons.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Congratulations on Quan. It has many places to be and many startups and companies to help.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll bring you back on in some time and talk about more of these journeys and stories.
And thank you both for doing this. And it's really lovely to meet you. And I'm so glad you're doing something like this. And I feel like I've also met someone who I can learn a few things from.
Oh,
Another
you're too
Bajaj.
kind.
Yeah.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you. Take care.